you tell me what we've talked about so far?
Self-control.
And what else?
And respecting authority.
Excellent. So we talked about self-control and we talked about respecting authority. The last activity we're going to do today to really hit home on what we've talked about all week is going to be an activity. I'm going to read you a story. After I read the story, you're going to have activity to do, but I need you to be an attentive listener and really be focusing and listening to what I'm saying, because if you're not, then you're not really going to catch what I need you to do whenever I give you the assignment, okay? Alright, so this story is called Living Rocks. It was show and tell day at school. Everyone got to bring something to school to show and tell the class about. Jackson searched high and low for the best thing to bring. He looked under the couch. He looked behind the chair. He looked under the table. What could he bring? Jackson, what on earth are you looking for? His mother asked. Something special. Something no one else will ever think about bringing, Jackson said. Why don't you bring something special that no one else is going to bring, said Jackson's mom. It's show and tell day, and I can't find anything to bring, replied Jackson. He was beginning to sound a bit frustrated. Show and tell or no show and tell, you need to sit down and eat your breakfast before you go to school, said Mrs. Walton, as she pulled out his chair. You can look after you eat. Mom, you don't understand, Jackson began. I understand that if you do not eat, you will not be able to concentrate on your studies. Now, come on, said Mrs. Walton, as she was firm but gentle. While Jackson was finishing eating, he placed his dish on the counter. He turned around, and Mrs. Walton was holding a strange-looking book without any pages. What's that, Jackson? He said. It's an old coin collection that belonged to my father, and I'm going to allow you to take it for show and tell, said Mrs. Walton. It contains coins that are no longer available. Get your backpack and I'll tell you all about it on the way to school. Jackson and his mother got into the car, buckled their seatbelts, and then Mrs. Walton handed Jackson the collection and told him to open it. The pennies you see are silver pennies. I think they were made back in the 1940s. The nickel is an Indian head with a buffalo on the back. Mrs. Walton continued explaining the coin collection to Jackson. That is so cool. Thanks, Mom, said Jackson as he jumped out of the car and went to class. When he got to class, he asked the teacher to hold on to the collection for him until it was time for show and tell. During show and tell, there were all kinds of things that were special to everyone. There were dolls, stuffed animals, toys, books, but no one had a coin collection. When it was Jackson's turn, he showed the different coins and explained what they were. He told the students that after class they could have a closer look at the coin collection if they would like. When Jackson finished, Taylor got up and showed what he brought. They were living rocks. Taylor explained that when they were placed in water, they grew and became mountains. Taylor got them at a large department store in town. Everyone gathered around to watch the rocks grow. That is, everyone but Jackson. He was standing by his coin collection, but no one came to see it. When Jackson's mother arrived at school to pick him up, she could tell something was wrong. How did show and tell go today? Did everyone enjoy the coins? Mrs. Walton asked. No one cared about silly old coins. They liked living rocks. Why couldn't we have living rocks? Jackson spouted out. What are living rocks? Said Mrs. Walton. There are all kinds of bright colors, and when you put them in the water, they become mountains, Jackson explained as they were driving by the department store. Stop, Mother, Jackson shouted. Can we please go into the store? Please? This is where you get the living rocks. Please let me show you. Okay, Jackson, but we're not buying anything. Do you understand? Mrs. Walton asked. Yes, ma'am, Jackson answered. When Jackson and his mother entered the store, there were the living rocks right on the main counter. Here they are. Can we get them, please? Jackson begged. No, Jackson, this is not something you need. If you want to do extra chores around the house to earn money to purchase them, that's fine. But I already told you that we're not buying anything, said Mrs. Walton. Now let's go back to the car. It's time to go home. That night, Mr. Walton had a talk with Jackson. Jackson, do you remember how you felt when you couldn't find something for show and tell? Mr. Walton asked. Yes, sir. I felt bad and I wanted to find something special. How do you feel? How did you feel when your mother allowed you to take her coin collection? Mr. Walton continued. Great. No one would have a coin collection, said Jackson. Do you think it was a kind thing to say when you called your mother's coin collection silly? Mr. Walton asked. No, sir. What you did was not showing respect to your mother. You also disobeyed her while in the store, Mr. Walton explained. When she told you that she wasn't buying anything before you went in, you should have accepted that. Instead, you argued with your mother and lost control of your actions. What do you have to say for yourself? I apologize. I only wanted to get the rocks. I didn't see them growing at school, and I wanted them, said Jackson. But why didn't you see them growing at school? Asked Mr. Walton. Because I was mad. Getting mad isn't very great, is it? Jackson asked meekly. No, it isn't. It causes you to do things you regret. You didn't see the rocks grow, you hurt your mother's feelings, and you disrespected her authority. I know she said that you could work to earn the money for the rocks, but I think before you do anything, you need to think about your actions, and you probably should have a talk with your mother. Okay, Peyton. Now, Jackson did a couple things in our story that he shouldn't have done. Was he disrespectful to his mother? Did he undermine her authority? No, he wasn't being a little too... Yeah, he was. He was being a little bit crabby to his mom. So what you're going to do is I want you to write a couple of sentences, just two, telling me what Jackson should have done when his mother told him no at the store. Okay? Please use a capital letter and use an end mark.